I call up our next caller? It's Councilman Isaiah Thomas of Philadelphia is nice enough to join us. How are you today, Councilman?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is definitely an interesting time that we're in. But, yeah, I'm listening to you guys talk about seniors outside of being on city council. I actually coach high school basketball myself. So I understand, what that emotion is that young people are going through that are both seniors in high school as well as seniors in college.
Yeah, it's true. It's really every level. It's anybody who was on a team and that ends. It's tough. It's really rough. I just want to start by asking you a little bit about the city. You remember the city council. I read this morning there are now 20 testing sites in the Philadelphia region, according to Health Commissioner Thomas Farley. The largest, I think, is at Citizens Bank Park. How's that going so far?
Well, a lot of the sites have just opened up in the last 48 hours, and right now what we're trying to do is just increase our capacity in Philadelphia to essentially test people. The big site down in South Philadelphia is primarily going to be for older folks as well as healthcare workers, and the goal is to make sure that the people who are most vulnerable, as well as the people who are on the front line, are the ones who are tested first. And, again, we're just in a capacity right now where we're trying to increase our testing so we can all get through this.
Okay, and so you would advise – who would you advise gets tested?
So right now in the city of Philadelphia, what we're asking people who show symptoms and people who've been exposed. So if you have a dry cough, if you have a high temperature, or if you've been exposed to somebody who's already been diagnosed as far as being positive from coronavirus, those are the two groups of people that we're asking to get tested right now, just because we don't want our healthcare system to get overwhelmed. If you look at other places across the world where they've received increase in the number of diseases, one of the problems that they ran into is their healthcare facilities, their hospital and healthcare workers becoming overwhelmed. So in order to avoid that, that's the first wave of people that we're asking to get tested. And as we get through that wave, we'll increase our capacity to test more people.
If someone's out there is listening to this and they say, you know what, I think I want to go get that test, and they've seen the pictures, it's down in the parking lot down by the sports complex, how would they go about that?
The first thing that we ask people to do is to call their own physician. Call your primary physician, call your primary doctor, tell them the symptoms you're seeing, and then let them make a recommendation or a referral as to what steps do they feel like you should take. What we don't want people to do is just to drive up to the stadiums or drive up to Washington Lane in Ogons or another testing location and just walk right in. That's the worst case scenario. We're asking people to start with their primary physicians, let them give you a referral, and then follow their directives.
Councilman, how can people help the city beyond that? How can people help the city and their neighbors at this time?
Sure. So this is, again, a difficult time, especially for us sports fans. I'm a big sports fan myself, and so a part of it is just, especially in the month of March, first and foremost, finding positive ways to occupy our time while people are staying home. So what that looks like is a lot of internet activities, a lot of movies, games, and different things you can do with the children. You can go outside technically, but when folks do go outside, we want to ask them to practice social distancing, especially if you're going outside to be in a park area or to do some jogging or something to stay in shape. Outside of that, what we will ask folks to do, if you want to volunteer, you can go to the Philadelphia website, www.phila.gov. You can click on a volunteer link there to sign up to volunteer to help out throughout the course of this crisis. Or if you want to donate to be able to help out workers in need. I mean, again, as sports fans, without there being any activity down at our stadiums, a lot of those workers were laid off. So on council, what we're trying to do is put us in a position where we're helping those folks who've been laid off as well as businesses who are suffering right now. So anybody who wants to donate to that cause, you can go to the phila.gov website and look to donate to be able to help people in need as well, too.
What's it like in City Hall these days? It must be a lot of empty hallways and empty rooms, I would guess.
Very much so. A lot of us members of council are working remotely from either our homes or our district offices with limited contact and limited interaction with people. I've only been in city council for a couple months now, so just got sworn in January, so we were just starting to get in the groove of things.
Yeah.
And now it's a pretty dormant place right now. But if we're going to encourage families and citizens all across Philadelphia to stay home, we too have to practice what we preach.
All right,
So
last
a lot
one.
Of us are working. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Last one for me. You have kids. You mentioned that you coach basketball. You've got kids. You're president of the Coaches Association. My son and my daughter-in-law, like many people, are home with a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, which I got to tell you, anybody who doesn't think teachers should get paid more, just stay home with a couple of kids for a week or two.
Right.
How do you keep your kids engaged?
So my son is 7 years old, and what we try to do first and foremost is create a routine for him. My wife has done a phenomenal job of making sure that he's on a daily schedule where he has a fine balance of academic activity, physical activity. Of course, you want to add some fun time in. But the first recommendation I would give people is to create a routine or a schedule for those children, because that is what they're accustomed to when they're in school on a consistent basis. My social media, we put up a lot of different resources and activities that people can essentially use to make sure that the young people get engaged. But I do have a recommendation. This era, they're getting away from board games. So one of the things that we make the young people do is to play some board games, checkers, Monopoly, things like that, just because when I was growing up, I'm pretty sure you and most of the listening audience was in the same category. We played a ton of board games. Board games are becoming obsolete. So this is a great time for us to engage him in more board games and different activities that he can essentially do outside of just video games, iPads, and different things dealing with technology.
My son is actually teaching my son is teaching my grandson how to play chess this week. So you're spot on. All right, I lied. One last thing: if people have questions about their bills, their utilities, what they're allowed to do, where would they go?
So currently, right now in the city of Philadelphia, no utility can be shut off. Your Comcast can't be shut off. You can't be foreclosed on your house, and you can't be evicted if you pay rent. And that is the rule all across the city of Philadelphia until we get through this catastrophe. That doesn't mean that folks never have to pay that bill, but we understand that a lot of Philadelphians are experiencing a hardship. These things are listed not just on the Phila.gov website, but the governor's website as well. So if you follow our governor, Tom Wolf, on social media, or if you follow the state's website, he lists all the different things that folks can and cannot do during this time. So the one thing that we don't want people being paranoid about is the ability to pay their bills. There's also about 70 different food stations all across the city of Philadelphia. So if folks are in need of food, we do have city employees on the ground level who I appreciate that are still giving out food to children and families in need.
Heroes, those people. They are. Councilman Isaiah Thomas, hey, thank you so much for joining us. You stay safe.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I love to come back and talk Sixers when the time is appropriate. I'm a diehard Sixers fan as well.
We look forward to that day in the future. We do.
You
take care. Thank you very much. Nice guy, Ray. Good guy.
Yeah, very, very nice fellow. A lot of good information there.
Absolutely. Coming